What's up, y'all? How we doing? I'm doing good because school's almost over. I know what you're thinking. I didn't escape from a prison and come here to kill you guys. Trust me, I'm not. I know I look like I did, but I did not. People are like, oh man. My name is David Hughes, and I get to do a lot of things in my life. Today, I'm a dude who's going to get you out of class for the rest of the day, so you're welcome for that. I get to do a lot of cool things in my life. As you saw, I get to be a psychopath on stage like every single day, and jump off stage and be in mosh pits. But I get to do what I love every single day of my life. For the last 15 years, I've toured around the world in a band called Vanna, and I've done like Europe, the UK, Australia, all over the United States. I've been to 49 states, so if anyone wants to take me to Hawaii, let's go on vacation. Let's get out there and let's get some swimming in. I basically get to do what I love every single day of my life. Since then, Vanna's come off the road, and I toured a new band, and I do solo stuff. I'm also a producer in the studio. I get to work with all sorts of like rappers and different kind of artists and bands and all that kind of good stuff. I get to manage punk rock bands and kind of help guide their career. I got a super hot wife and a really cute dog, so my life is pretty awesome. Listen, I didn't come here today to like share my accolades or talk about how cool I am. You guys can learn my Instagram later for that stuff. What I did today was, I came here today to talk about how much of a loser I've been in my life. Has anyone ever lost at something or failed at something or like hasn't achieved something? If your hand isn't up, you are a loser and a liar, so. Wow. We all lose and we all have losses in our life. Here's the deal though, none of us ever show those losses, right? We don't talk about those losses a lot because sometimes they're embarrassing and sometimes the things that we have in our lives, the stories and the scars that we have, they're a little bit embarrassing and sometimes we don't talk about them. So today I'm here to embarrass myself. I'm here to talk about those stories and those scars and how I got from there to here. So y'all want to hear some stories today? Yeah! So here's what we're going to do. Check it out. You ready? We're going to travel back in time. Y'all ready? We're going to go all the way, we're going to dial all the way back. We're going to throw it all the way back to the year 1984. It was like a mad long time ago. None of you guys were alive. Your teachers were definitely alive in the 80s, right? And they were probably thriving in the 80s. They probably had like big teased out Madonna hair, or they actually had hair in the 80s, depending on who we're talking about right now. Yeah. That's how I roll. Shots fired. That's how I am. The year is 1984. The place that we're going to travel back to is a place called South Boston, Massachusetts. Now, South Boston is that place with every like bad like Ben Affleck movie with like a Boston accent. It's where it takes place. It takes place in Southie. Now, in the 80s, Southie was an awful place, man. It was a sketchy place. Sketchy people lived. There's lots of drugs and violence and crime and all sorts of craziness. It was a Wild West out there. And there was this couple that lived there, and they were drug dealers through and through. Not only were they drug dealers, and they were pushing cocaine and heroin up and down the East Coast, but they also were drug addicts themselves. And same thing with all their friends, right? All their friends were criminals. They were either thieves or drug dealers or pushers or whatever it was. They used to throw these parties all the time, right? Where they invite all their homies around. And as you can imagine, a room full of crazy criminals getting high together in a house, something's going to pop off. There was always fights and always disputes. And one night there was a fight over money that broke out. And this fight quickly went from a fist fight to a knife fight, as someone pulled out a knife. And it quickly escalated, and someone pulled out a gun and started shooting shots up in the air, so this fist fight went to a gunfight real quick. Now, in Southie, there's police everywhere because it's a pretty crazy place, so police rolled up after they hearing the shots. They came in, they kicked that door down, and what did they see? They saw a room full of people with prior records, so what did they do? They went through, they did their job. They arrested everybody, took all the drugs, all the money, all the weapons, all the contraband, everything. They cleaned that whole place out, case closed. One of the officers that helped lead that charge, he couldn't help but think, you know when you get like a feeling like in your head or your heart or your stomach or wherever your conscience lives where you're like, something's not right and I gotta fix this, you know? He had this feeling where he's like, something isn't right, we have to go back in. There's something that we missed in there. He got a squad, they went back in there and he said, tear this place apart, floor to ceiling. That's what they did, room by room, drawer by drawer, closet by closet. Not sure what they're looking for. Police officer made his way into the bedroom and he's flipping over the mattress. He's mad frustrated. He can't find this thing that he's looking for. He walks over to the dresser and he just opens the drawer on the bottom. He puts his hands in and he starts throwing clothes out, drawer by drawer, searching, drawer by drawer until he got to that top drawer. He reaches his hands in and boom, there it is. There's the thing that he's been looking for. And out of that drawer, he scooped up a 7-month-old baby. Now, it's not a place for a baby, clearly a drawer. The conditions were deplorable. The smell was awful inside there. The baby was covered in its own filth and blood, and they quickly picked him up and rushed him to the hospital. When he got to the hospital, the doctors realized that the baby was covered in his own blood, that the child had a laceration, a cut on the top of its wrist. From what the police and the doctors could only assume was that child reaching out for love, reaching out for its family, and just getting that drawer just slammed shut. That baby's story almost ended that day. But because somebody simply just went above and beyond a little bit of what they were supposed to do and acted on a feeling, that child was able to go on to the hospital and get better, and go into foster care, and eventually be eligible for adoption or is adopted by a wonderful family and have an opportunity you would never have, all because someone went a little above and beyond. And now for me, that story, every time I hear that story, every time I tell that story, I rub that scar on the top of my wrist to remind myself that because someone went above and beyond what they were supposed to do, I'm alive right now to tell you this story. Now, I don't know that police officer by name. He kept himself anonymous, and I've never seen him in a police report. But I will say this, that was my first superhero in my life that I ever had. This anonymous guy just going above and beyond and picking me up. And I got adopted by a wonderful family. Now, I didn't come here to fight anybody, even though I look like I did. But listen to me when I hear this statement. I don't know who your mom is, but my mom is the greatest mom of all time. And here's why. She literally adopted me and saved my life and gave me a situation and a life that I never would have had, man. And that's what I looked at my mom when I was a little kid, man. I looked at her like a superhero, right? I thought she could do anything. My mom told me when I was younger that I was the chosen one. You know, every day I chose you, the chosen one. I'm like Harry Potter with a face tattoo, you know what I'm saying? That's me out here. I looked at my mom like a superhero, right? And I thought, okay, if I was saved by a superhero and my mom's a superhero, then that makes me a superhero, my dudes. I want to be a superhero so bad. I want to like shoot lasers out, push claws out of my hands. And I love superheroes. Does anybody mess with superheroes? Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Marvel, any of that stuff out there? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. I love superheroes, and here's why. I have since I was a little kid flipping through comic books. Because here's why. Superheroes are just seemingly normal-looking people, but on the inside, they've got something crazy going on. It's their choice what they do with that. They can either be a super or they can be a villain, and I like the superheroes, man. My favorite superhero squad of all time is a team called X-Men. Y'all know X-Men? Absolutely. Those are my dudes right there. Here's why I love the X-Men. Because, I like the X-Force too. I'm a nerd, dude. Don't even test me on that kind of stuff. I'll come at you. Here's why I love X-Men, right? Because they were like outcasts, right? The humanity just cast them out, made fun of them all the time, called them freaks and mutants. That's what they were. And they were different. But when they were together, they were the X-Men. They could do anything. And that's what I wanted. When I was little, I knew I was different. See, by the time I got to middle school, I could start realizing a little bit more about myself, right? I realized I was poor. I was the poorest one out of all my friends. I realized that my parents were divorced because after I got adopted, I was 4. My dad split, so I had a single-parent home. And like some of you guys who grew up in a single-parent home, you know what that feels like, right? And all my friends had 2 parents, and they had money. I had like all the bag cereals, and they had like all the name-brand cereals. You know what I'm talking about? Like that was me. That was that kid. I didn't fit in with my friends, and I wanted a team of X-Men. I wanted a team of freaks just like me. It was hard to find. See, by the time I made it to middle school, I didn't find. There was no voice for dating. There was no voice for an adopted kid who had a weird life and was poor and a single mother. There was no lane for me. I didn't find my passion in a hallway or a classroom. I found my passion in a parking lot. That sounds sketchy, I realize. Hear me out though. There's a parking lot across the street from my school, and there was a skateboard shop called Coliseum Skateboards in that parking lot. In that parking lot, they had the whole thing, so there was ramps and handrails, and every cool dude and And every girl that wanted to date a cool dude would go over to the skate park and hang out over there. When I was in middle school, man, that's all I ever wanted to do when I get to high school. I wanted to be one of these skate park kids. Now, I begged my mom for a skateboard, and we were mad poor, so if my mom was going to buy me a skateboard, she was the kind of mom, I don't know if your mom has done this, but like, if you want something really big, she's going to tell you this is your birthday, Christmas, Valentine's Day, like everything rolled into one present. She got me a skateboard, but unfortunately, when I showed up that first day of skateboard, I realized that my mom didn't give me a skateboard from Coliseum. My mom got me a skateboard from Kmart. So my skateboard sucked. And everybody kind of made fun of me a little bit, right? There was this one dude that owned the shop. His name was Artie the Party, everybody called him. And he came over to me and he gave me a deck. He was like, man, are you going to skate that busted thing, or are you going to actually skateboard? He gave me that skateboard that day, and that thing changed my life, man. Not only was it something to do now after school, but I started skating there, and I started meeting like kids just like me. I met kids that my parents were divorced. I met a couple kids that were adopted. I met these brothers that were immigrants that nobody talked to in my school from Vietnam, and they were amazing skateboarders. I basically just formed this little group of friends. There were all these little weird misfits. We started a skate crew, and we called ourselves the X-Men. Yes, we did. We called ourselves the X-Men. And man, the X-Men would get together every single Saturday, and we'd have these skate jams, right? Where we'd all bring over some music, and we listen to it and film our parts. And I'm talking about we'd all bring over like little mixtapes, not SoundCloud, none of that stuff, like an actual little physical tape in a boombox. And we used to play all of our own music. We'd skateboard, and we'd film our parts, and we'd edit together, and that's what we did, right? Now, see, I grew up with really great music. My mom listened to like classic rock, so I grew up with like Black Sabbath, The Doors, The Who, Led Zeppelin, stuff like stuff your dad listens to on Saturday mornings in the garage by himself. That's what I used to listen to growing up. So when I came up, I was starting to listen to stuff like Metallica, Pantera, Rage Against the Machine, like stuff like that. Like I was a 90s kid through and through. So, but a cool other part is like some of my friends listen to hip hop. Biggie and Tupac were still alive at the time, so they were putting out music, and we listened to hip hop, and we listened to alternative music. We had some friends that listened to country, and we didn't let them listen to country while we skateboarded, because we don't do that kind of stuff. Sorry, country fans. Get your baby bring part out of here. We all thought our music, was the best. We all thought our music was the dopest, right? But we had this one dude in our crew, man. He was the most gnarliest dude ever. He's the he's the wildest dude, right? He's the kind of dude that would film a skateboard park. He'd go down a 6-step, he'd fall and hit the ground and drag his face. He'd get up covered in blood and be like, yo, dude, tell me you filmed that. Come on, dog. My dude had a 3-foot-high blue mohawk, and he had a leather jacket with big old spikes on it. If you give him a hug, you start bleeding. His name was Punk Rock Pete. Guess what Pete listened to? Punk rock, that's right. Now, punk rock, I don't know if you ever listened to punk rock. And punk rock is fast, and it's aggressive, and it's emotional. And Pete said that was the source of his skating ability. He was better than all of us, and we all wanted to be like him. So, we all started listening to punk. I'm talking about like the Dead Kennedys, the Ramones, the Sex Pistols. You guys remember Tony Hawk Pro Skater? Yeah, like that whole entire soundtrack was all we listened to at all times, man. That was my life. And every Saturday we'd get together. Now one Saturday Pete was late, right? And you can see Pete skating down the street, because as Pete skating down the street, man, his mohawk is blowing in the wind like this. He comes up and he has a flyer in his hand, right? He's like, yo dudes, check it out. There's a festival that combines pro skateboarders skating all day doing demos and punk rock. It's called Vans World Tour. It's coming to Boston, and we gotta go. Man, I snatched that flyer in his hand, and I was like, punk rock? Pro skaters? Is there going to be girls there too? And there was. I was so excited, man. All the things that he had shown us was on this flyer, including my favorite band, which I'll get to later. Man, I was hyped. Now I went home, and that was it. I knew I had to go to this thing. Now I went home and talked to my mom. Now my mom, I don't know what your mom, my mom is the mom that, like, if you want to go anywhere with your friends in the movies, my mom, she'll take you there, because my mom's the one with the minivan. You know, like that light blue minivan with the wood down the side of it, you know what I'm talking about? The Woody? That was my mom. I went home and busted my mom's drum. I was like, Mom, get the Woody, let's go. We gotta go. She helped me save up money for a ticket. I worked around my neighborhood to work it down. I bought my ticket, and come July, me and the X-Men pile into my mom's minivan. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to a festival or Warped Tour or anything like that, but here's what it was like. We walked in there, and they ripped my ticket. I got my skateboard in my hand. I walked in that place, man. My jaw hit the floor, my skateboard hit the floor, I couldn't believe it. Here's these beautiful fairgrounds with grass and trees and everything, 9 stages, right? And all these stages have punk rock, metal, hardcore, hip-hop, you name it, it was there, man. And Warped Tour has started a lot of careers like Paramore, 21 Pilots, Fall Out Boy, Panic! At the Disco. All these bands started at Warped Tour, so this is where it all started. I was hyped, man. There was people with like red hair, blue hair, pink hair, people with like tattoos from their toenails to their eyelids, people smashing guitars, people jumping off stages in the mosh pit. I took one look at this joint and I was like, yo, I'm home. This is it for me, man. This is all I ever wanted. I never saw that many people in my area that were doing what I wanted to be doing and looking the way that I wanted to look, man. The whole day was crazy. It was one of those days where you just kind of know, like, I know what I want to do. This is it. I got to meet my favorite band of all time. They played on a stage that was like half the size of this stage. They're a really small band. That band was called Green Day. You guys know that band? I got to meet them and talk to them a little bit. I told them I wanted to be in a punk rock band. They said, then just do it. And that was it. That was my permission. Green Day gave me permission to go home and tell my mom I was going to do this. Now, I went home and I was 13 years old. Now, you guys have all been 13 years old before. So you know, when you're 13, you're grown. You're an adult. You can make your decisions whatever you want. That's how I was. I walked home. I walked to my mom's room like I always do. I was like, woman! It's me, your son. Listen, I know what I want to do with the rest of my life. My mom looked at me with love in her eyes and said, 13-year-old baby, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? I was like, I'm going to be a rock star. I want to be a punk rock star. I want to play guitar, and I want to sing in a punk rock band like Green Day. Mostly, I think I want to like tattoo my whole body, travel the world playing music, and marry a really hot chick, which, by the way, I've done all three of those things, so yeah. I'm doing it. Look my Instagram, bro. And don't talk about my wife like that. My mom looked at me with love in her eyes, right? She was like, I love that you want to do this. I love the passion. Well, I got some questions for you, David. You said you want to sing, and you want to play guitar in a band. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, well, baby, let me ask you a question. Where are you going to get a guitar from? Good question. I'm really poor. I can't afford it. I knew it. Then I walked up to my mom. I took her by the hand. My mom looks beautiful today. I said, Mom, ask me again. And she said, where are you going to get a guitar from, baby? I looked her right in the eyes. I said, woman, you going to buy me a guitar. That's how this works. But see, we couldn't afford that, right? And then she says this to me. She says, and Davey, baby, don't get me wrong. You said you want to sing in a band? Baby, you can't sing. She said that. I was like, I can't sing. How many people own a dog in here? Does your dog have a squeaky toy?
Yes.
That's what my voice sounded like when I was 13 years old.
Oh my
like a little
God.
squeaky toy. But my mother said, I love the passion. I love the fact that you want to do this. Let's think of something else we can do. She said, give me a few days. I'll figure it out. I got lots of friends that play music. We'll figure it out. She came back a couple of days later. She said, that's it. I got it. My friend Bob, he wants to teach you how to play the drums for free. What do you think about that? And I was like, Mom, the drums? That's all the way in the back. How am I going to marry a hot chick? I'm all the way in the back. I started thinking about it though, like, you know, like, I'm always annoying my mom, tapping on stuff, annoying my teachers, tapping on stuff. I could probably play the drums. Matter of fact, I'm probably the best drummer of all time. You know what? Let's do this. I'll play drums, I'll push it to the front, we'll get a spotlight, like a headset, like, we'll be all right. I walked in my first day, a couple months went by, right? I walked in my first day of rehearsals with Bob, and I'm grown now. I'm 14 years old. Yeah, I had a mustache. It was terrible. I walked in, and I wanted to be a rock star right away. I was ready. I was like, Bob, I'm ready to do this whole rock star thing, so let's go. Shave my head into a mohawk, and let's give me some temporary tattoos right now. I'm only 14 years old. He came over to me, he said, put out your hands. I kid you not, I put out my hands, and then from his jacket, he pulled, like it was some big deal, pulled like drumsticks down. And I kid you not, I was like, yeah, this is not a mohawk or tattoos. What do I do with these things here? See, does anyone play the drums in here? And we'll kick buckets, copy, my God. So you know, there's a lot of pieces to the drums. A lot of pieces. And it all starts with the sticks. It's all about what you do with your hands and what you do with your feet, right? I thought I was going to be, yeah, see, he's got it. I thought I was going to walk in this place, right? Get on that drum set, rip a drum solo, light it on fire, and do a backflip like, thank you, good night! And legit, for like a year of my life, in front of my TV with my drumsticks, this is what I did on a practice pad for a year. Please, somebody kill me. Dude, it was insane, right? I never committed to anything like that. A few months later, I got a snare, right? Then a few months later, I got a hi-hat, so on and so forth. It took me 2 years to build out my kit piece by piece because Bob was teaching me the importance of it. But for me, I was getting obsessed, man. 2 years? That's a long time. So I started doing what we all do, right? I started going on YouTube and I looked up drum covers because I want to learn how to play my favorite songs. Or music videos, or tour documentaries, or anything I can get on just bands and how to be a band. We started a band, me and the X-Men, we started a band. I'm gonna say this right now, with complete confidence. We were the best band in my mom's basement, hands down. Well, we were the only band down there, but like we were the best for sure. But here's the deal, I remember from my research, bands don't stay in a garage, they don't stay in a basement, they gotta get on and play shows. But I'm 15 years old at this point, like almost 16, I don't have a license. I can't even get into a nightclub, I'm not gonna have to play shows. This is all I care about now. Skateboarding and punk rock, and I don't care about anything else. I started thinking about it. Where's a place I'd go that I could just like make a lot of noise at nighttime? There's not a lot of people, we can get a lot of people in there. I started thinking about it, right? Auditorium, cafeteria, gymnasium. My school has so many big open places. And they got all these clubs and all these things happen at my school. Maybe I can do concerts at my school, but remember how I said that I wasn't a very good student in middle school? I didn't really fit in, right? That affected me. See, in middle school, in order to fit in, I just used humor as a way to get friends. I made fun of the fact that I was poor, or made fun of the fact that I was adopted, before you could make fun of me. And I started making friends, and that carried me all the way to high school, to the point where I was that dude that you knew would get kicked out of class in 15 minutes. I'm telling you right now, I'd walk into class and teachers would set a timer to see how long it took me to get dismissed down to the office. I was the class clown, man. I did anything for a laugh, and I'd been that for so long. I didn't know how to change that. You ever just get sick of knowing that people know what to expect of you? That they think that they know you? Man, I was done with that, and I wanted to do something. No one believed in me, no teachers cared except for one. I had one teacher. His name was Mr. Moss. He was my English teacher. And he was the teacher that cared more about me than what it said on a piece of paper. On Monday morning, he didn't care if I did my project. He wanted to make sure my mental health was okay. There's that one teacher I have, and I hope to God, I know actually I've met a bunch of teachers at this school that are already like this, and I hope you find one. Because he's the only guy that kept me straight, man. He's the only guy that kept me in school. He showed me the connection between English and music. He would do music projects, and we'd read poetry. He brought his guitar in, and he played songs with us, man. He hung out after school with me and listened to records and stuff, man. He was my dude. He was the only guy I had at my school. So I had to ask him. I said, Mr. Moss, listen, I want to be a rock star one day, and I don't care about anything here, and I need to do this. I need to start playing shows at the school. Can you help me? I don't know what it was about me that he saw, but without hesitation, he said, absolutely. We can absolutely do that. Because that's what you love, right? That's all you want to do? I said, yes, sir. He said, then we'll do that. But if you want to do that, you got to do something with me. I said, Mr. Moss, this is my dream. This is my destiny. Whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do it, no problem. I won't even argue with you. Go. What is it? He said, cool. Number one, come to class. I had a feeling it was going to be that. And he said, cool, number two. And I was like, you said one thing. He said, number two, let's raise that GPA. Let's get all your grades up. Homework, classwork, let's do a little bit of it so you can pass high school. And I thought, is there a third option? Because both of those suck and they do not work for me at all. See, if you want to do something, I travel to schools literally like every single day of my life. I'll be in 8 schools in Michigan this week. And all I hear is, what do you want to do? And all I hear is, I want to do me. I want to do this. I want to do that. When it comes down to it, you've got to take responsibility for things you have to do. And that's me. I have to take responsibility for that. So I started showing up for Mr. Moss's class and paying attention, right? And I loved English. It was great. My friends would be messing around the corner. I'd be like, knock it off. I'm going to be a rock star. Shut your mouth. I started raising my grade, but here's the deal. Mr. Moss, he started running snitches on me. He started talking to other teachers, because you got a bunch of classes that you probably don't like and one that you do, and that was me. I'd go into lunch and he'd be like, hey, what's up? I'm like, Mr. Moss, what's good? He was like, how was science today? Science? Today? It was dope. Thank you for asking. What'd you learn? You have 9 planets that revolve around the sun. And then aliens come down and kill everybody on Earth. I'm going to go to science tomorrow, I promise. And you know what? I went to science. It was dope. I had fun. I learned a lot of stuff. Apparently all I learned about was aliens, but I think it's the most important thing about science anyway, so whatever. I started going to history class. I found out my history teacher was a pro skater in the 80s, because, yo, newsflash, this is some crazy information I'm going to drop on you. Your teachers were people before they were teachers. Imagine that, my dudes. Imagine that, right? I related with him on such a very big level that I passed history and helped me out with that. Yo, I went to math class. I have a calculator on my iPhone and I don't need math and I'm terrible at it. But let's make some noise for all the math teachers in the building. Come on. You plus me equals us. Thank you, yeah. But see, I showed up, I tried. Mr. Moss came through, he got me in the school cafeteria to do my shows. Man, I was in heaven. I was the king of the world that day. I walked in the cafeteria that day and thought, everything the light touches is mine. But see, the light was touching like a moldy cheeseburger on the ground, and my janitor was sleeping on a lunch table, and I'm like, yo, this is a cafeteria. It's a concert hall. There's no lights, there's no sound, there's no stage, there's nothing. What am I going to do? I'll tell you what most of us do. I went home, I didn't know what to do, so I asked my mom. Now, my mom, she's really good at answering questions with other questions. Sometimes she answers it with the same question. I was like, Mom, I got these shows, I don't know what I'm gonna do, like, help me, what am I gonna do? And she said, Davey, what are you gonna do? Very wise, thank you, Mom, I appreciate you. She said, why don't you just make a list of stuff that you're good at in high school and see if that can apply? And I was like, that's a great idea. So I got out a big piece of paper, and I wrote my name, this big right across it, there it is. And I wrote, stuff that Davey is good at in high school. Number 1. That's it. That was the list right there. That's how I went right now. Yeah. I didn't have a lot that I was good at in school. I went back to my report cards to see if there was like a clue in there, right? You know when you get your report cards, you get your grade, and there's that little tiny box for your teachers to rat you out to your parents. You know what I'm talking about? That little tiny box? My box said, Davey never shuts up. Davey never sits down, which is my business card, so take that, teachers. Socializing was the big thing for me in my school, the problem with me in my school. But see, I don't look at it as a problem, because here's the deal. I was friends, I went to a school that was about 1,250 kids. I knew almost every single kid's name. It's not because I was popular, because popularity isn't real. It's a number on an Instagram page that can be deleted, and I want you to recognize that. What is real is people. See, I had just amazing people in my life that I loved, and each one of my groups of my friends were cool for a different reason, right? Like I had friends that were like, you know, like my friends I could play Fortnite with until like 6 a.m. in my mom's basement eating pizza rolls with, like those friends, like all my gamer friends that ran like lights and sound and all that stuff. On Thursday nights, I go to my drama club presentations and watch my friends kill it on stage or drama, because guess what? One day, one of them is going to grow up to be famous, and I want to be friends with famous people, okay? I supported them there. Yeah, I can see some drama club kids in the house. Nice. But on Friday nights, I go to the football game, hang out with all my homies and watch them crush football. All my friends did cool stuff. Music was my thing. And I thought maybe if I asked them, because I didn't have a thing, they'd support me. You know what? Each group of friends said, absolutely. No problem. Because I supported my friends and I love my friends. And I could care less about school, but I love my friends. Everybody rallied around me. High school kids, football team, they all made tickets and promoted and flyers. The drama club built a set and a stage for me. All my friends, like the Geek Squad from my high school, all the audio visual guys, make sure we had microphones and cameras, we had the whole thing. I rallied all the band kids and the chorus kids and the big bands and all the skateboarders handed out flyers. But I'm talking about I used every single friend favor I could get. We prepped for 2 months for this thing. Night of it came. And if the night of it came and those doors opened and nobody came through, I was a joke. And I was going to drop out of school and that was going to be it for me. We opened those doors and man, we flooded that thing. The whole thing sold out. Kids from our school, parents from our school, kids from other schools, people hearing about it from flyering. Man, it was amazing. We did another one and then another one. I started doing 2 a month. My principal and I started meeting about the concerts, about what we were going to do. It became like this whole thing. I finally had a legacy at my school. I finally had a thing that Davey Muse does music at his school. People would recognize me in the hallways. We talked about it. Can't wait for the show this week. It felt good. Not only that, but I raised all my grades, like I said before. So I started applying for colleges, and I got into all the colleges I applied to. I thought, man, this is crazy. This is wild. I'm going to go to school for music business. I'm going to tour the world with a band. Nothing can stop me. I'm on my path early in high school. This is great. I'm on this path. Nothing can stop me. Nothing is ever going to come between me and my music. And then something happened. I met a girl. I met a girl, and she lived a few hours away. And I want to start off by saying this before I go any further. The number one thing that you have to look for in relationships and worry about every relationship that you're going to ever have is you. Is this person here to lift you up? Is this person here to support you in your mental health, in your physical health? Or are they here to drag you down and to basically leech off you? We like to call that toxic relationships, and I would like to see the end of toxic relationships, especially in the high school level like ASAP. You know what I'm saying? Let's treat each other a little bit better than that, okay? And see, the relationship that I was in was one of those toxic relationships. She didn't care about me. She didn't care about the things I did. She didn't like my band. She didn't like my music. She didn't like my friends. Matter of fact, one of the first conversations we ever had on a date went like this. She said, "Oh, you're in a band? I don't really listen to music." Yeah, she's a psycho and I should have run around right there. Just turn around and left. See, what she responded to in her family, because the way that she grew up, because we all grew up different ways, and unfortunately, she responds to money as love. So what did I start doing? I started spending all my money on her. See, I was supposed to be saving my money for college for 3 years because my parents couldn't afford it, but I got into it and I wanted to go. I wanted to prove that I can't do it. But see, the whole time I was saving this money, I was just draining my bank account for her, taking her out to the movies. Anything that she wanted, I responded with money because he didn't really like who I was. By the time senior year came around and we graduated, the summer before I was supposed to go off to college, I had to tell my parents that we have to unpack that minivan because I'm not going to school. I have no money in my bank account. I have to get a full-time job. She went off to school. I stayed home and worked a full-time job. And my parents begged me, and my friends begged me, while she's gone, get a life of your own. Because not only did all my money go, but I quit my band. And in senior year, I started passing those concerts off to somebody else to do them. I missed so much my senior year because of it. My mother said, please get a life of your own. My friend said, please get a life of your own. But now, man, I stayed on my phone waiting for the FaceTimes, waiting for the phone calls and text messages. I lived her life. I finally said it was enough, and I wanted to be in a band again and play music. Before I could even call her on the phone to tell her this is what I decided, I got a phone call. I got a call one night from her best friend out of college. I picked up the phone, I said hello, and she said, Davey, thank God you answered. Thank God you're there. Something's wrong. Something's going wrong with Cheryl. Which, by the way, if your name is Cheryl, you have the worst name in the English language, and we are never going to be friends. Don't try me. I said, what's going on with Cheryl? It's the girl I love. What's going on with her? It's the girl I want to be with for the rest of my life. She said, Davey, I don't know how to tell you this, but Davey, she's in labor.
What?
Y'all know what labor means, right? Everybody out there?
Yeah.
We're good in that department.
She was pregnant.